The post office clerk slid the padded envelope across the counter without a word, but Noelle Bishop felt him staring. She'd become used to that reaction. Listeners recognized her voice first, then her face. Still, the envelope unsettled her. No return address, no stamp markings. Only her name, block printed, the letters smudged as if by shaky hands. Inside were 2 miniature reel-to-reel tapes, the kind her grandfather had used when he'd recorded his jazz gigs in the 70s. Noelle produced a weekly true crime podcast, Bishop's Evidence, but she hadn't touched analog media since college. The podcast's P.O. box usually overflowed with USB drives, typed manifestos, or, occasionally, garish fan art of murders she had covered. Reels were new. Odd. In her apartment that evening, she unearthed the old tech deck she'd rescued from a thrift shop for ambiance photographs. A certain romance, scarred metal, warm VU meters, spool hiss, fit her show's aesthetic. Now, for the first time, she actually threaded tape onto it. Hiss, then a dry whisper. This is the confession of Noelle Bishop, 41 minutes after midnight, regarding the events of September 14, 2023, at the Greenbrier Pedestrian Tunnel. Noelle's heart seized. The voice was hers, the slight rasp from years of studio work, the unsanded Midwest lilt. Yet she had never recorded anything like this. The whisper described, in clinical detail, the abduction of a teenage boy who would be shoved into the tunnel's long, echoing corridor, pinned to the ground, struck 3 times with a tire iron, then left under a floodlight. The voice gave the victim's name, Jacob Halley. It listed the precise minute the attack would begin, 8:17 p.m., and ended with a breathy signature. I did this, the whisper concluded, because stories must breathe. The tape clattered. Total runtime, 6 minutes. Noelle sat frozen while her cat head-butted her ankle, hungry. Greenbrier Tunnel was 2 miles from her apartment, a muraled pass-through frequented by skateboarders. She searched the name. There was a Jacob Halley, 17, varsity cross-country, Instagram full of shoe selfies. The date on the tape was 3 days away. Noelle had spent 6 seasons parsing anonymous tips, jailhouse bragging, and the morbid carnival of listener theories. She prided herself on skepticism. Still, the mirror image voice rattled her enough that she forwarded the file to Detective Marisol Ortiz, her reluctant contact at the Bloomington PD. Subject line, urgent. She left out why the voice sounded like hers. Ortiz answered in under an hour. We can't deploy units on a prophecy. Motion sensors in the tunnel already vandalized, but we'll keep an eye. Noelle didn't sleep, dozing between internet rabbit holes about deep-fake audio cloning, breakaway cults, and methods for smuggling reels past postal scanners. By morning, she convinced herself the tape was a grotesque prank. 2 nights later, at 8:23 p.m., Ortiz left a voicemail. Call me back ASAP. The Halley kid is en route to county, critical. Somebody bludgeoned him in Greenbrier. Doesn't look random. The detective's voice cracked in the last syllable, sorrow slamming against professional distance. Noelle sat on the kitchen floor for a long time. When she finally stood, she hid the reel in her freezer, behind a bag of peas, as if cold could muffle guilt. Listeners devoured the story once local news broke. Teen left bleeding in tunnel. No witnesses. Bishop's Evidence went live less than 12 hours later with an emergency episode. Noelle played only the official police statement, then launched into careful speculation. She did not mention the reel. She did not mention the whisper. That episode's downloads tripled the show's usual numbers. Comments flooded her social feeds. Someone tweeted, Queen Noelle solves these cases by ESP now. Another, bet she staged it for content. As she scroll-walked past cafes, she imagined every barista's lips forming silent accusations. The second envelope arrived a week later. Same block print. 2 reels again. When she pressed play, her own hush repeated the ritual. Confession of Noelle Bishop regarding the events of October 3, 2023, at the Kingsway Art Museum. The crime this time was an arson to be set in the museum's archives after hours. Flammable solvents, a timed spark. Casualties? None, unless the night watchman deviated from his rounds. Damage estimate, $8 million. And a footnote. The blaze will reveal which canvases were already forgeries. Art must choose truth. Noelle slammed stop. She mailed a copy to Detective Ortiz that afternoon, along with a shaky explanation about a fan hoax using voice cloning. Ortiz scheduled extra patrols. Yet on October 3rd, the Kingsway archives erupted in a fireball. The sprinkler system was mysteriously offline. Security cameras were looped. The press called it museum mayhem. Online, Bishop's evidence soared to Apple's top 10 podcast list. Overnight, she gained 93,000 new subscribers. Verified accounts DM'd her for exclusives. Strangers Venmo'd coffee money. Reviews dubbed her the Cassandra of true crime. It felt like being lifted by a crowd that might, at any moment, choose to carry her to a pyre. In private, Noelle scrabbled at mundane explanations. The mailer had bugged her apartment, captured her voice, spliced it into scripts. But she'd never discussed Kingsway on air. And the phrasing on the tapes felt intimate. She heard herself choosing words she wouldn't normally voice aloud, yet recognized the potential for them nested inside her like dormant seeds. The third delivery included only one reel. Its label read in marker, "Listen with headphones." Noelle did, sweat streaking her hairline. Confession of Noelle Bishop regarding the events of October 25, 2023, outside the Monroe County Courthouse. Subject: assault and release of inmate Thomas Finch. Finch, Noelle knew, was a man she had interviewed for episode 302, Wrong Side of Mercy. He claimed innocence in a road rage stabbing, his story riddled with contradictions. The Whisper now described his pending transfer in a prison van, the route past the courthouse, the timing of a remote-controlled barricade that would stop traffic so masked assailants could drag Finch away. The final beat. They'd force him, on live stream, to repeat the phrase, "I am what she says." The Whisper's last line stung her skull. Listener participation highly encouraged, #Bishop Challenge. The tape ended with a soft metallic tick. Noelle tore off the headphones. Her pulse banged in her ears until it became another sound. Her phone buzzing. Notifications stacked like termites. First Reddit, then Discord, all repeating the same new hashtag. Bishop Challenge. Posts from listeners were collecting blueprints of courthouse streets, prison van schedules, spec sheets for DIY stingers that could flatten tires. They joked about merch opportunities. One wrote, "I call tire duty dibs." Another, "Let's make our queen proud." Suddenly, Noelle understood the engine behind the madness. To her most devoted listeners, the whispered tapes were not predictions. They were instructions. Evidence podcasts thrived on crowdsourcing leads. Here, the audience believed it was their turn to produce evidence, to manifest story. She locked the apartment door, though she knew locks were illusions. Then she went live on Instagram. Her ring light flicked on, painting her eyes with twin moons. "Hey crew," she said, forcing steadiness. "I'm hearing chatter about a so-called Bishop Challenge. Please listen carefully. Do not participate. Any attempt to interfere with law enforcement is a crime. If you love this show, you'll stay out of it." 15,000 viewers watched within minutes. Comments scrolled so fast they blurred. When she ended the stream, her inbox filled with heartbreak emojis. Then the counter message. "Too late. We've got this." She forwarded everything to Ortiz. The detective moved Finch's transfer to an undisclosed time. Meanwhile, Noelle rented a motel off the interstate under the name Nola Best. She pictured frenzied fans scouring her apartment building for vantage points. She pictured them outside right now, wearing the t-shirts she sold last season, humming her theme music while loading stolen stop sticks into trunks. 2 nights before the predicted assault, another package slid under her motel door. A single cassette, no reel. The label, Press Record and Response. Inside was dead air. No hiss, no voice. Just a red leader tape and a blank. She realized it was a dare, an empty confession waiting for her to fill. Hands shaking, she set the cassette in her Zoom H4n recorder, pressed play record simultaneously, and spoke. "My name is Noel Bishop. Anyone hearing this, stop. Don't hurt Thomas Finch or anyone. The stories on my podcast are meant to expose injustice, not create it. If you truly admire what I do, prove you're better than the scripts fed to you. Choose another narrative." She stopped, rewound, and listened. The playback chilled her. Her voice sounded identical to the fetishized confessions, low and urgent. She wasn't sure whether she'd succeeded in overwriting or contributed an epilogue to the villain's library. She mailed the cassette to Ortiz, then waited. Rain gnawed at the motel awning. Cable news murmured about hurricane season. She dozed, dreamt of tape fluttering through trees like magnetic ribbon caught on branches. The morning of October 25th arrived. No smartphones buzzed with emergency alerts. Noon passed. Sunset glazed the parking lot. She dared to text Ortiz, "Any movement?" The detective replied with a single thumbs-up emoji, then added, "Van rerouted, no incidents." Noelle exhaled for what felt like the first time in months. She drove back into town, half expecting to spot cars ablaze with Bishop Challenge spray paint. Instead, she found the streets lullingly normal. Maybe the cassette plea had worked. Maybe reason still held power. That night, she poured Merlot, opened a new Google Doc, and began drafting a long-form episode recounting the whole saga, an expose on parasocial obsession, deep-fake terror, and her frailty. Listeners deserved honesty, she wrote. At 1:14 a.m., her doorbell rang. Noelle crept to the peephole. A delivery driver in a neon vest held a bakery box tied with twine. Through the peephole, his grin looked carved. She cracked the door chain. "Miss Bishop, complimentary cupcakes from Sweet Crumb," he chirped. "Fan appreciation." "I didn't order," she began. He lifted his phone. Proof of drop-off. Snapped a photo, then left the box on the mat and retreated down the hall whistling. Noelle waited 5 full minutes before prying the chain and dragging the box inside with a broom handle. Cardboard bore a grease stain shaped like a continent. Inside, 6 red velvet cupcakes and a folded note. We listened. "Now your turn. Press play." Beneath the cupcakes, nestled in frosting, gleamed a flash drive. She booted her MacBook, inserted the drive. One audio file. Response MP3. She clicked, ready to skip through. But the first sound was her own motel plea. "My name is Noel Bishop," followed by applause, faint like recorded in a warehouse. Then a male voice she didn't recognize. "Challenge completed. Finch rerouted. Good twist. Alternate action deployed. Check tomorrow's headlines, Queen." The clip ended with coordinates. Latitude 39.1673, longitude 86.5562. She pasted them into maps. The pin landed on Lake Monroe, specifically a boat launch. A chill vacuumed the wine warmth from her limbs. She dialed Ortiz, but the call went to voicemail. It was 1:32 a.m. She grabbed keys, pepper spray, digital recorder. The cat watched her leave without judgment. Fog wrapped the lake road. At the launch, sodium lights hummed. She saw no boats, only a sedan idling. Before she could reverse, a figure stepped from the shadowed trees into her headlights. Detective Ortiz. Noelle rolled down the window halfway. "Jesus, I called—" Ortiz raised a hand. "Phone's dead. Glad you came. Why are we meeting?" "There's something you should see." Ortiz led her toward the dock. On the planks lay another reel tape in a plastic evidence bag. Ortiz's latex gloves shone. "Found it tucked in Finch's vacated cell tonight," she said. "Date stamp is tomorrow morning." Noelle's ribs compressed. "You're saying Finch escaped anyway?" "Van never picked him up," Ortiz said. "Paperwork showed he'd been released earlier by court order. Forged signature, flawless. Guards didn't question. He walked out 3 hours ago." Lightning spidered across distant clouds. The lake exhaled. Ortiz handed her a portable reel player, already cued. "Go ahead." Noelle pressed play. "Hiss," her whisper. Confession of Noelle Bishop regarding the events of October 25th, or 4:45 a.m. Lake Monroe launch. Subject: disappearance of Detective Marisol Ortiz. Motive: to preserve narrative symmetry. Resolution: body unrecovered, case ongoing. Noelle's throat closed. She looked up to protest, but Ortiz was gone. Only ripples on the lake, as if something or someone had just slipped beneath. She spun, scanning for movement. A shape darted behind her car. Footsteps, wind through reeds. She couldn't parse fear from reality. "Marisol!" she shouted. Her voice, bounced off water, sounded like someone imitating her. "Stop joking!" Silence. She pulled a flashlight from the trunk, scoured the dock. No shoes, no dropped radio. Only the reel player, still ticking leader tape. She rewound it, pressed play again. The voice remained hers. Unmistakable, intimate, lethal. Noelle's instinct screamed to call 911, but doubt paralyzed her. What if the call triggered the next act? What if she had already been scripted? She drove home, flashlight on passenger seat like a talisman. Every billboard appeared to blink. Morse code. At a red light, she saw stickers slapped on lampposts. "We are the evidence, Yarty Bishop Challenge." In her building's elevator, the Muzak was Madison Cunningham's hospital. She'd quoted that song in season 4. Coincidence? Or selected for atmosphere by some unseen hand? Upstairs, her apartment door was ajar. Inside, every reel she'd locked away, even the frozen one, lay unspooled across the living room floor. Brown magnetic ribbon looped furniture like webs. In the middle sat her cat, tail twitching, atop a single sheet of paper. She slid the cat aside. The paper bore 2 columns, Episode 401 script and live event tracking. On the left were scene headers identical to what had transpired. Tunnel assault, museum fire, failed kidnapping, lake confrontation. Each line had a check mark. One remained blank, final cut. On the right column, times and GPS coordinates projected 30 minutes into the future. They mapped to her own apartment. She realized she'd never locked the building after leaving. Fans, collaborators, whoever ran this, could be in the stairwell now, hungry for the finale. She imagined them wearing Bluetooth earbuds, hearing instructions in her counterfeit whisper while gripping phones set to record. Noelle hit Facebook Live, camera reversed so viewers saw her tape-strung apartment. "Listen up," she said, voice shaking. "If you think this is entertainment, you're complicit. Someone is missing, maybe dead. You want the last confession? Fine, here it is." She placed the phone on a shelf, pressed record on her Zoom, and spoke into the air as though addressing an unseen orchestra. "My name is Noelle Bishop. I confess that I fed the beast. I spent 6 seasons turning real pain into serialized thrills. I invited you to vote on innocence like a game show. So the beast grew hungry. And now it wears my face. But I also confess that I can end the beast by starving it. I won't narrate crimes anymore. I resign from Bishop's evidence as of this second. There will be no final cut. Go home. Choose life over plot." She stopped recording, uploaded the unedited file to every platform at once, titled it Series Finale, Silence. She attached a transcript. Then she deleted every scheduled social post, every auto-tweet, every future release feed. Then she pulled the main breaker of her apartment, plunging rooms into black. In the dark, she crouched by the door. Pepper spray, wheaty. Feet shuffled in the hallway, then hesitated. She heard murmured debate. "She's done. No more script." "Is it over?" A door slammed. Footsteps retreated downstairs. An ambulance siren moaned somewhere distant. She stayed frozen until dawn filtered pink through blinds. Only then did she reactivate the breaker and check her phone. Notifications were a storm. Cancellations, tributes, fury. Bishop Challenge trended, but so did Asa, Silence Wins. A clip of her resignation topped Reddit's front page. Some commenters celebrated the integrity. Others cried betrayal. But the fever pitch, the giddy expectation, had cracked. She phoned the police. Search teams combed Lake Monroe. They found Detective Ortiz alive, duct-taped in the trunk of an abandoned Corolla. Hypothermic but breathing. She'd been ambushed by two men who quoted the whisper verbatim, recording everything for bonus content. They'd fled when sirens spooked them. They hadn't expected Noel's broadcast. Authorities arrested 3 superfans, recovered a laptop filled with draft scripts of future confessions, sections left blank for wikis to crowdsource. No mastermind yet. The reels remained a mystery. Weeks later, Noel walked to the post office and closed her P.O. box. The clerk skimmed her change of address form. "Going off the grid?" he joked. "Going off the plot," she said. She moved to a town without street art or trendy cafes, took a job at the community radio station reading weather updates, barometric pressure, pollen counts, sunrise times, pure data, free of narrative hooks. But sometimes at night, as wind rattles the shutters, she hears a phantom hiss, like tape finding the leader. She tells herself it's the furnace, or old pipes, or memory. Still, she keeps a blank cassette by the bed, just in case another voice arrives. And if it does, she plans to press record again, not to confess, but to answer with the only line that now matters. Story closed.